Step aside, Cleopatra. A new pharaoh has arrived, and while I lack a ship full of flowers and a gown like Aphrodite's to seduce a general, I can pretend with this revitalized classic. Pharaoh: A New Era is a classic city builder that was originally developed by Sierra Entertainment 20 years ago. We return to this title with high-quality graphics, a vastly improved build menu, and an equally enhanced version of the original game expansion Cleopatra: Queen of the Nile. I've played my fair share of management games thanks to the channel, but this is my first fully fledged city builder I'm reviewing, and I was surprised by how much I loved it. First, credit to the devs for this incredible upgrade they've given this much beloved title. After taking a peek at the original game, the differences in visuals alone is like night and day. Pharaoh: A New Era is gorgeous in its detail. From the grass, to the floodplains, to the lovingly designed monuments and temples, the visual design in this city builder is up to par with the biggest games in this genre. Similarly, the music is exactly what you would expect from a title based in ancient Egypt. That is, if all the movies I've watched are good enough homework for music of this time and region. Regardless, the music never became annoying or overbearing, as can sometimes happen when you play lengthy titles such as this one. Speaking of length, Pharaoh: A New Era has plenty to offer in that department. Oh ho ho ho! The game boasts over 100 gameplay hours, with 50 missions that take you through 4,000 years of ancient Egyptian history and 6 different time periods. If the story-based missions with narrated descriptions before each one isn't to your liking, you can always jump into standalone missions and see how long you can keep your city going. Now, let's talk about the gameplay, where I'll offer my experience as well as information provided by the devs as to what changes they made from the original. I'm choosing to go over the devs' information for viewers that are familiar with the original but curious as to what exactly this new version has done to improve upon it, besides the obvious changes in visual and sound fidelity. Let's start with my experience. It was a blast! Sometimes confusing and irritating, but overall I had so much fun playing through these missions. Even restarting, I had plenty of fun because I got to learn new things how to make my city perfect. And I was also learning about ancient Egypt. In fact, I would say one of my favorite parts of this game was learning about this country and its people's history, which isn't really surprising coming from an educator. However, if the idea of a game that teaches you sounds unappealing, fear not. This isn't edutainment. All that I've learned was from the gameplay, like how ancient Egyptians apparently used floodplains to grow crops and harvested based on the next inundation of the Nile. Be gentle with me since I'm about to get vulnerable and sound real stupid, but I honestly had no clue how people in desert countries sustained themselves in the past. So just the basic ass mechanics of setting down farms and making sure you are planting in the right areas, as well as storing harvested goods before the Nile flood came, was mind-blowing to me. Outside of my very American sounding revelation, oh my god, people in other places of the world farm and stuff too, what the fuck? You'll still have plenty to do in this game. Build houses, roads, farms, work camps, temples, city palaces, and more, with each building serving a particular function to keep the cogs of society going. And don't forget religion. Your people need temples and shrines, which encourages them to invest and upgrade their homes, among other things. Those temples and shrines aren't just for show though, as you'll need them to appease the gods, and then the gods will rain upon you quite literally, making the Nile floods greater and increasing your crop yields. Following the story, your missions have specific goals and fail states which get increasingly complex as you progress, building upon your knowledge and experience from prior missions. The game teaches you all these mechanics through well-designed and executed tutorials in the first few missions, breaking down building placement, the use of roadblocks to control movement, using overlays to keep a careful eye on things like fire or disease risk, and more. There's only one gripe I had about the game, and it was actually one of the new improved features the devs tout: checking the amount of employed and unemployed workers through the population count. To give some context, an improvement from the original game is that you no longer need to put down a building, the palace, in order to see your population counter. Instead, you can just hover your mouse over the population counter at the top of the screen and you'll see how many people you have working as well as how many more you need based on open positions at your many buildings and unemployment rates. However, I found that this was very hard to execute because as soon as I was hovering over the population counter, it would disappear. I'd get the quickest glimpse and then it'd be gone. Perhaps there's something I'm doing incorrectly, but this did become very annoying as I progressed through the game's missions. Outside of this little hiccup, my experience with Pharaoh: A New Era was an absolute delight. And now, let me share some facts from the devs on what they've done to revamp this oldie but goodie city building classic. In this new version, you'll have a new build menu as well as an indicator for the Nile flood arrival and quantity. You can also now place buildings within 2 tiles of houses and immediately get workforce access, which previously required sending a recruiter out first. Docks can now be set to allow individual goods to be traded. Players can see from tiles workers spawn and return to places when placing a building down. Players can quickly copy and paste buildings without going through the build menu, and there are options upon options for adjusting your game experience. For instance, within those options you can set a fixed worker ratio so births and deaths don't affect your number of available workers, or disable predators for a calmer city building experience, or alter the specific looks of gardens so you can customize your city's appearance as you like. As someone who dabbles in city builders, I had a great time and I'm anxious to jump back in. If you've always wanted to try a city builder but felt overwhelmed by the minutiae of other games in the genre, I recommend giving this one a try. With a patch on the way with more quality of life improvements, Pharaoh: A New Era is everything you'd want out of a remake.